Welcome, everyone. This is the official rewind of our Calypso as well as our Steel Pan show on Upstage TV show. We had Papa Jerry with Rootsman Kelly and also featuring Joel Joseph on Pan, and of course, Laura Lisa, our guest appearance when it comes to calypso music as well. We've been doing so much soca, we've done dancehall, we've done reggae, but we thought it was so important to include calypso, the mother of soca, within the series, which ends very shortly. We have one more episode to go in the season, and then we do it all over again at another time. Joining me in this panel today, we have some esteemed gentlemen. I feel so good to be in their presence. We have Randy Isaac, well-known soca artist as well as calypsonian, loads of, titles to his name. We also have Michael Blaze Robertson, a well-known steel band leader, has led his band to win championships as well. And we have Jefferson Ramirez, recording artist and well-known performer with his band Solid. So welcome, everyone. We have Mr. McQuilkin, Black Wizard, here with us, but the connection seems to not be working too good, but we'll try our best to have him as part of the conversation as well. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing fine.
Doing well, man.
We are.
Good on
I am
this
doing
end here.
fine. I'm here. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me. And
Nice.
to be in the company of this great people, I feel all good.
Indeed,
It's such a nice panel,
Indeed. I really appreciate all of you for being here. And let's start it off. In the last episode of Upstage, we started off the show literally with Steel Pan. And I know it's not very common to see Steel Pan in these types of arenas. So I'm going to give you a little rewind of that right now. Arenas. Yes, indeed. That is Steel Pan. We started off with a whole 10 minutes.
Nice vibe.
No, please. I saw your expression while you're looking at this. How did you feel to see Joel on stage starting off this show?
Yeah, well, happy and excited, It's good to see all that kind of young energy, and you see the vibes and the vigor the young man bring to the whole thing. And it's nice that, Steel Pan is getting kind of recognition that it needs. You would do a show like that and invite the Steel Pan on. For too long, we've been relegated to the back. And now that you're doing your program and a lot of other people doing their program, and especially with the new virtual thing, we noticed that Steel Pan is being featured. And, it's a good happy moment for us. We have a lot of young, good, excellent panelists. Even that Jefferson sitting there, he's one of us, an excellent young panelist. And it's nice that, they're being showcased. Yeah. And it's nice that even Randy and these guys being showcased too, because they are men who contributed to the whole Steven art form. All the songs they sang, the same wizard on board, all the songs they sang to promote Steel Pan. So thank you, Chrissy, and thanks for helping push the gospel of Steel Pan, as I like to call it.
I like it. The gospel.
I love it. Yes.
Jefferson, we know you as an avid pan player as well. What are your feelings on this?
That feels really good to see that, because as Blaze said, people don't really put pan in shows like that anymore. Like, people don't, and even if you want a band, sometimes you just want a little tenor man or two men to make a little jam. But pan in general, as you said, in the virtual events, have been getting, some attention, and I like that, because a lot of people don't know, but it was the pan that brought the voice out. because I didn't sing before.
Tell
I
them.
started playing pan first. I was 10 years old, and I started playing pan first, and it was a pan that bring the energy out, bring the voice out. I became a little bit more musical because of the pan. So I'm really happy to see that he's playing and people like it, and it's a vibes. And as he said, he got a little energy on stage and he's moving, and it's vibes, it's vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Mr. Isaac, we've played your songs. I'm sure all three of us have played your songs at some point in time during Carnival. How did you feel to see Pan featured on such a novel TV show?
Well, after Pan being treated so bad lately, it brings a joy to my heart to see that they are being featured on the forefront of such a program. And as what he said earlier, many programs have been, since the virtual thing started, they've been featuring Pan and giving them this space, at the forefront. And it just make me feel good. As I said, we want more still band.
Yes,
We want
I.
more still band. We want more because it's the foundation of the music. Is the, you have to every time you do carnival or you do calypso soca, pan's supposed to be part of it because it's one of the foundation of the whole art form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's amazing. We have Mr. Seals in the building from Angel Hops. He's saying now it was nice to see Pan vibes on Upstage,
Yep, yep,
definitely. And we
yep.
have to say hats off to you as well, keeping the thing going on your end. Now, I really want to find out because I mean I started playing Pan years ago, enough respect to Mr. Peck, right? I
Okay.
started years ago with him since primary school. And eventually, after secondary school, I faded off. I played for Panorama and then I went to college
Yeah.
and I faded off. I faded off from playing Panorama, but I also found another way of making income from Pan, right? Blaze would know about, going to hotels and hustling, you understand? But there's a lot of people after secondary school, once they finish that, they just kind of fade off. So my question is, what happens along that way that some people just decide, I don't want to play Pan anymore, or it's not cool anymore. How can we find ways of keeping it cool for the generations to come? Blaze, maybe you could take that one
Yeah.
first.
Start.
It continues to be cool, eh? Because even after school, it continues to be cool. But what we need to provide is other opportunities for steel bands. Okay, take for example in Trinidad, and we must stand to Trinidad there, the Mecca. When a steel band win Panorama in Trinidad or come second or third or fourth, that steel band is guaranteed overseas tours. You'll hear the number one band going to France, number two to Japan, next one to Germany, and so. So these are the things that keep people these are the things that keep people playing because they have more things to look forward to. Like let's say the Greater Hotel Association is going on some trade show or something so to showcase the island. A steel band should be accompanying them. We should have more opportunities like stuff like yeah, we should have more things like scholarship opportunities. Like almost all the arrangers in Trinidad and the young pianists in Trinidad, they have the opportunity to go to UTT where they can further their arranging skill and further their knowledge of music. These are the things that we have to work on as a steel band association, as a ministry, as a government, to make sure that we provide more opportunities for young
Yeah.
panmen and for the panmen in Grenada so that they would continue, not just start in the primary and the secondary school and then fall on the wayside.
Yeah, definitely well said. Jefferson, what's your feeling on that?
I agree. Um, More needs to be done in terms of getting it out there, because the people that are here and are doing it on their own gusto, like doing it on their,
Mm-hmm.
like they would practice on their own just to get better for their own self, and probably would start gigging and start making some money out of it, going to the hotels as you said before. And some people I know actually leave here and go and work on ships, and then probably would come back and start arranging again, and it's on your own inner, really. But I think if we get some external help, that would be a whole lot better. But then another aspect of it too, to me, is at 16, 17, you're done college, it's like your mind is on other things. Like your late teens, you're kind of getting into maybe adulthood, and people starting to walk, people starting to this. I remember I missed a couple junior panoramas because I was working, I was working, and I had to work carnival. I had to work carnival Saturday, and I had to work these days. So, but I never ever missed panorama. But at that age, still being able to play junior panorama, but being 18, 19, having to go to work, having to, you're trying to make new friends, all kind of different things happen in that space of time. But as Blaze said, if we know, let's say after panorama we go on a tour, people actually live on pan, playing pan. Like they go tour in different islands, different countries. And if we know that this is a thing that pan, you could live off of it, then we play pan. So
It's true. And actually,
Yeah.
Joel Joseph, the same gentleman who played on Upstage, he is back from the cruise ship because of the whole pandemic. So
Yeah.
he has been out there playing steel pan and he's been doing his thing. Now he's based in Grenada. I was so happy I got him to come on the show, similar to Dennison, who's also on the ship. So it's good to see that so many people are finding new avenues. Randy, Isaac, you had something you wanted to add?
Well, I agree with everything they say. Marketing, we have to do some more marketing to get us out there. But one thing we have to instill in the young people, when we start teaching them pan at a young age in the primary school and stuff, you have to let them know there is money to be made. They could live by this. There is an avenue for pan. Because I go on cruise and stuff, and every time I go, you must find a pan side or a group or somebody. When you go on the different islands or the different, you always see pan play being played. So you have to teach them that. So and let them know nothing in life comes easy. You have to put in the work. Because once you put in that work, eventually it will pay off. So don't just drop off and say, okay, I finished high school and I finished college and I'm gonna go and do something else. There is an avenue, and
Yeah.
doing pan, there is good money to be made. You could live by pan. You could take care of your family by playing pan, and it's a lovely music. And it's one of the instrument that was created in the 19th century or the 20th century, 19th century.
20
Help me with
years.
that. Help me with that one.
Yeah, it's
But
one of the earliest, the
yeah,
youngest instruments in the
one
Yeah.
of
world.
the
Yeah.
youngest instruments in the
Yeah.
world, and the people around the world are fascinated by pan, by seeing somebody taking an oil drum and making music. So once you put out the work and you you dedicate yourself to it, eventually it will pay off. Take for example Randy Isaac Carey. Randy Isaac Carey don't come easy. Everything for Randy Isaac is hard. Nothing came easy for Randy Isaac, but Randy Isaac never give up. It's a fight, and you have to fight. If you want it, you will fight, and eventually you will get it.
Yeah. True. And then
Well said. Well
part
said.
of the money comes in the tuning of the pan. That is where the money is, in
Exactly,
my opinion.
exactly, exactly.
And if you know how to tune, and if we, as somebody was saying, like we need a scholarship, like we need to go out there, we need to be able to just
I think
go.
the authorities and the people supposed to get deeply involved, because we looking at pan as nothing, but it's much bigger than how we look at it.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Much
apart from
bigger.
that,
Yeah.
there's a movement now that's happening with pan people,
Uh-huh.
where throughout the year we have work, and I'm talking about throughout the year we have work around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in July, St. Lucia book you. In June, St. Vincent call you. In August, Antigua call you.
Right.
In September, we go up to New York.
Right.
Before you go to New York, you go to London and you're playing. And all that, you make money, you get free ticket, you get free room to stay, you're living good. So it's there. No, I'm telling you, there are opportunities because, like, for the last couple of years, I've been going to 4 and 5 panoramas around the world. And, you're being paid to visit countries and have a good time. I take out 4 days, I lick up my song at the play. And then I have the next 2 weeks to do what I want to do. I have money in my pocket, I start living in a good hotel and that kind of stuff. So there are opportunities now for pan people. So we just have to know about it and embrace it. I mean, the pan men have to take it on their own to become better, because the more you can play is the more in demand you are.
Yeah.
And so there are good opportunities to live and to hustle.
Completely agree. I was trying to connect with Mr. McQuilking, but your microphone, if you can find a way to turn on your microphone for us, because we'd love to have you part of the conversation. We have some comments here. So Ron is saying, we got to stop thinking of them as pan men. They are musicians.
Musicians. You're right.
Good point. Good point. Mr. Seals is saying we need to give at least one scholarship a year to a panist.
Yeah.
He's also
need to
saying
give
to
at least
study
five.
music.
I don't agree with that.
At least 5.
At least
At least
five.
five.
Yeah,
At least
I
five.
agree that we need to give, but
Yeah,
at
I
least
agree
Yeah.
we need to give, but at least 5.
And have them read music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's be real. A
Yeah.
lot of us, we learn by ear.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Ron,
But that's
Ron
that's
is
the
actually
new
correct.
that's a new trend now. Bands are teaching their players to learn to read music. I mean, you just have to do it. I mean, yesterday we were practicing for Peck's funeral, and Miss Mendez came into the panyard, and I felt so happy that she could have given my bass player the sheet, Blaze have a sheet,
Nice.
and different people have a sheet, and we learning the music that way. When we
Yeah.
go to New York and these places to play, then fellas send the sheet music for you beforehand. So by the time you get there, you have a good idea of the song, or as to the basics of the song, because they send the sheet music beforehand. So people, reading is important. You must learn to read and write the music nowadays.
But
Yeah.
I think what Ron was saying in the comment was that we had to start seeing them as musicians and not just pan men. And that's
And
that's
women.
that's the
Thank
real
you.
thing. Pan
And
people.
women.
Pan
Look
men
what
and
Panner
pan
right
women.
here.
Back here too. But if you see yourself as a musician, if you're a guitarist and you're somebody else, that this person is a musician.
Yeah.
It's like we tend to see it differently, and I've experienced that too. Somebody was like, "You're not a musician." I was like, "I am a musician,"
Nah,
even if
they
I am. But there is
Right.
and I play pan. I could read music. I could read some level of music, and I sing. But people don't view pan as being a musician. But you are. That's.
yeah,
I mean, Andre
absolutely.
Gunnage is the arranger here for Comancheros and manager Pan Solid, but he is a musician because he could arrange music, and that's really the standard. You want to be able to look at the sheet, as Blaze say, and know what to do, know how to manipulate the music, and all of that. So
Yeah, definitely sounds good. Now let's shift gears slightly over to Calypso. We had Laura Lisa as well as Rootsman Kelly and Papa Jerry upstage. So let's do a little rewind to see what they did.
Holiday. Your boss is yours, you are your own boss. I will not make you bear the cross. Small citizens no longer will feel small. When I am the Prime Minister. No more boat houses, all houses must be wall. When I am the Prime Minister. No longer will Trinidad pump with oil. When I am the Prime Minister. And I really don't care if we friendship spoil. When I am the Prime Minister. Living in love, we should always give it a try. We must learn to walk with we head up high. My vision is to make us touch the sky. When I am the Prime.
Cause after they dead and gone, what you do or say have no importance. So give me now instead cocotti, fish cake and bread. I said to give me flowers before I dead. Don't wait till I gone. You say I was nice like Father Head. I said to give me flowers before I dead. I want it now. Before I dead. Some way, somehow. Before I dead. Listen what I said. Give me flowers before I dead.
He told me, pray for all your friends and enemies, if you please. Give thanks and praise and I'll keep you safe from all those diseases. You got to be strong like John the Baptist or even Moses. So try and enter in Zion Gate before it closes.
All right. Listen, that was amazing. And we have the Black Wizard with us. It wasn't working out with the program, but we're gonna see if we can hear him now. Can you try saying something for us?
Hi guys, how are you doing?
Yes.
We are doing
Yes,
fine.
you can
Yes.
hear good? Perfect. So, talk to us a little bit about the history and the purpose of calypso as an art form.
But it's also it's always a controversial issue as to the history of calypso, where calypso began. But I prefer to say that calypso began. I was brought here by the people who came. When I say the people who came, I mean all the people who came, whether Europeans, Africans, Indians, or the people who were here before, like the Amerindians, if you want to call them that. All of them had an influence on what we call calypso today. So it's difficult to pinpoint any one country where it came from, but all of them had influence, as I said. So there was a time when there was no such word as calypso. They just had folk music, let's put it this way. The African brought their folk culture. The Europeans brought the music. Later on, the Indians, and you see the Indian effect in the music from Rashtriya music, for instance. So, to give you a short answer, calypso was brought here by people who came here, and the people who were here before, like the Amerindians. And it was shaped into this art form which we call calypso, which was the name came about around 1900 or so, at the year 1900. But prior to that, there was no word called calypso. If you look up the dictionary or the encyclopedia, or you Google it, you won't see. You might see it as a Caribbean music, but you also see a different meaning, like some Greek about some Greek character.
Mm.
But so in terms of the history, I mean, I'll give you a broad answer. But because time won't permit for us to go into details as to the contribution of the Africans or the Europeans or the Indians, and so all of them have contributed. But maybe I would say predominantly African. It is predominantly African.
Right.
That's the most I'd say. In terms of where we are now in Calypso, Calypso has taken a nosedive now, it seems. Again, how do we define Calypso? Because we tend to separate soca from Calypso. But what does soca mean? Soca means soul Calypso. So if soca means soul Calypso, that means soca is Calypso. A type of Calypso. Right? So to say, but normally when we talk Calypso, we talk the traditional Calypso where you have a lot of storytelling and it's slower and all that. People tend to more listen to it than to party to it. Right? That's one of the big differences between what we call traditional Calypso and soca. But soca is a child of Calypso. Let's put it this way. So traditional Calypso is taking a nosedive now because of the soca, because of the lack of promotion, because nowadays what you have other radio stations and most of the stations are the DJs on the stations are young people. So they go for the soca. So they are really interested in Calypso. But in terms of the value of Calypso, Calypso is more valuable than just entertainment. And then as a matter of fact, you have what you call intellectual entertainment. So not all entertainment is wine and jam. It's like listening, you could read a book and get entertainment from it. Mm-hmm. But you also get knowledge from the book. So let's take, for instance, in high school, I don't know if when you went to high school, you do English B, for instance. And then they would have books and so that they would recommend. So let's take a book like To Kill a Mockingbird. I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
Yes, we did that one.
Right, or any Shakespeare story, but To Kill a Mockingbird, I choose that one because you enjoy the story for one thing. Right? You enjoy the story. So that's the enjoyment part of it. But apart from the enjoyment part, you also learn about racial discrimination, racial prejudice in the United States. The book is based on that. So you get knowledge and you learn, you get knowledge and you get entertainment at the same time, right? So through Calypso, you can learn many different things. You can learn social sciences, like social studies in school. It could be used in school for social studies, for creative writing purposes, for history, because Calypso is the best history you could get is from Calypso, because the Calypso men tend to sing on what is going on at a particular point in time. So if you want to know what was happening in Grenada in 1983, 1983, the best place to go, get a look at the Calypso that was sung around that time.
That's such a good point.
So no matter whether or not you couldn't sing Calypso, you must have had one at least that would say that well your muscle. So even if you didn't get it between 1979 and 1983, the social commentary that we normally do, by 1984 or 85 you get it, because then that time you're free to sing what you want to sing. So Calypso really is history also.
Wow.
But it's all,
Yeah, I really like that. I think those are some really great points in terms of not just understanding the purpose of Calypso, but maybe understanding why it's not as big anymore. And this makes so much sense. Randy, Isaac, as someone who crossed over, did Calypso, what are your thoughts on this in terms of what we can do for Calypso as an art form going forward?
Well, I don't think the promoters understand that there is a big market for Calypso, right? There is a market out there, and some of the big promoters, I don't think they want to get into that avenue, but they should, because if you look at the shows that we have, like Legends in Concert and Masters of Calypso, these are shows that happen that do not bust at all. These are people who work every day. I mean, talking people in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, and they want somewhere to go, and they want to get a good education, a good history lesson. They want to get some humor, and they want to enjoy themselves. And the only place you really get that is in a Calypso show. Calypso tells so much. Calypso uplift the mind, enrich the mind in so many ways that people don't understand. And what Wizard said is very factual. But I don't go that deep. I would say my understanding to Calypso is it comes from the plantation. This is a way that the slave used to express themselves at the end of the harvest. They come out and they express themselves and free up themselves and say things. That's why we have like satire in Calypso, that they say things that the master don't understand. They put it in their way, and so Calypso is always a joy to the heart, like a freedom. Calypso is like a freedom. If we free up your mind and soul, and I don't understand why we're not putting more into it, because we can't forget where we come from, because we wouldn't have a direction in life. You have to remember the foundation, the root of this whole mass and this whole carnival and this whole art form. It is rooted from Calypso. This is where this whole thing come from. As I told you, it was the way the slave, expressed themselves at the end of the harvest. Because I guess when they finish reap all the cane, they get maybe a day or two to free themselves. And this is so you cannot drop this from the whole art form. And one thing I like, that even when they having carnival, and even though the Calypso Majga do not have the people that the Soca Modak have, we still get the same price money. I feel we should get a little more, because it's 2 songs. You understand? I feel it's 2 songs, so we should get a little more. But they didn't say, okay, you are not getting that crowd in the Majga, so your money is supposed to be less. But we have to put much more. The authorities have to put much more. The Calypsonians have to do more. We, the Calypsonians, have to do more. And we have to remember that we cannot leave Calypso behind, because we wouldn't find ourselves in the future.
Right. Someone says, Mr. Steele is saying here, we need to remodel the Calypso tent and it will have a better impact. I also see inspectors in the building, Elimus Gilbert, the young generation. He's saying the young generation is not interested in Calypso. And we know we've even seen Inspector singing soca. You know what I mean? He's also transferred. So, he's kind of staying up to the time, if you want to put it that way. Blaze, what's your take on calypso in Grenada? Hold on,
With
you
Specky
were
that the
muted.
young generation. Right. I tend to disagree with Specky somewhat when he says that the young generation is not interested in calypso. You can't be interested in something that you're not exposed to. I am of the firm belief that calypso, mass, pan, traditional mass, all these things, they have to be taught in school and from the primary level. At the end of July, when school closed for the summer vacation, you're supposed to have primary school panorama, primary school calypso competition, primary school soca, primary school traditional mass competition. And that's the only how the young people will start to appreciate again. If a young person grows up, like my son is growing up, and all he would hear, he hears a lot of pan with me. So he likes pan, he likes calypso because that is what I listen to. But the normal young child growing up in his house and he is not hearing calypso being played on the radio, how can he like something? How can he appreciate something that he's not exposed to? So the the radio stations, the TV stations, and we, the adults, we have a responsibility to pass that on to the young people. And like I say, the place where they will learn it and they will start to appreciate it the most has to be the school system. It has to be the school system at the end of every school term, just like how you complete your school term and you do your exams. Similar way for Carnival, the young people are supposed to be showcasing what they would have learned for entire school year in pan, mass, calypso, and traditional mass. And we talking calypso and we talking pan, but something that we are losing to is our traditional mass. And if we don't pass it on to these young people, if we don't expose them to it directly through a school system, how would they know it and appreciate it and learn it?
Well
Um,
said, well said, well said, well
well
said,
said. Yeah, well said.
Well
well
said.
said.
I
Well said. Now, also, I still have Mr. Wizard on the line,
okay.
but Jefferson, as a young musician, singer, performer, recording artist, dropping a song just now, what's your take on calypso? Because I know, even when you perform, you sing more soca than calypso.
Mhm.
What's your take on what can be done for calypso, or
Okay.
just your
I'll
point?
break I'll break it up in a couple pieces. So I love calypso. Like my dad used to listen. My dad's Trini, so I grew up listening to calypso and Sparrow, and we watch Real Gael in this house. So, but that's what I grew up looking at and watching Marshall when he was just Marshall Montano. He was on the truck, went behind the big truck, mama. So I love calypso, and I actually put some in the sets that we do when we perform. As Blaze is saying, my experience and my exposure to it is not everybody else's. And apart from schools, it just needs to be played. It just needs to be played on the radio. And not only just be played on the radio, from a writer's perspective and from a performer and singer's perspective, it has to be it has to be something that people want to hear. I mean, Soka talks about wine, jam, joke. It has to come down to, I mean, yes, you can throw some social commentary in there. Take, for example, Pum Pum. Scholar did Pum Pum 2 years ago, and it was a massive hit because at that time, it's what people wanted to hear. People wanted to, it was something that was going on, and he just decided to take it and make it into a song. We won Panorama with it. It was a big deal. I think he won. Did he win? Calypso Monarch that year.
Yes, he did.
I think he did. So, from a writer's perspective, um, let's start to make things that people want to hear. Number one, make it music, make it interesting for the ear. Still in the genre of calypso. Use your social media to push the music and get some radio stations to play it. Because I remember going to Dominica for Carnival like 5 years ago, and I went to what we would call Soca Mona on the Friday night, and it was calypso.
Yeah, the
And
the
if
biggest
you
thing.
see people in that place, and what was even more interesting to me was went out Monday and Tuesday on the road, and you could hear 6 year olds, 7 year olds, 8 year olds come talking about and arguing about who should I win, and this one had more lyrical content, and this one was more biting, and it was crazy. That blew my mind a little bit because they're exposed to it. Number one, it's they don't have soca like we have soca. They still have bouillon, which is strong over there, but the calypso and the bouillon somehow live together in the same house, and they get well supported, by each other, by the same set of people. So I think from a writer's perspective and Calypsonian's perspective, like Laura Lisa now is a beautiful sound for calypso, and she's a beautiful face for calypso. And I think she's starting to write some really interesting music that people want to hear. It can play on the radio, and people gonna be like, "Yeah, Laura, I gonna see that. I want to see." At my age, at you might get like 7 years old now, but it's gonna take a while. But at least people like me who would listen and look out for music and look out for good music, you'd capture a different audience than you have been in the last couple of years. So I think keeping it interesting, keeping it educational, keeping it biting, but make it in a way that attracts us. Use the social media to push it and make it global. So it is a lot of ways to fix it, but it's going to take.
Yes, we can hear you as well, Mr. McQuilkin. Anything else we want to add? Someone is saying here, our culture has changed and we have left our calypso music on the back burner. Inspector is saying, so why Sunday nights in the stadium? Not much people for the calypso show every year.
Listen,
McQuilkin, anything to add?
Inspector, and there's something.
There's a time when people used to like calypso. There's a time when the places would be filled with people. So the people who are young today, they won't always remain young. So. But the problem really now is not the art form itself, but the opinion makers in the society. The people who have the power to influence people's mind. You understand? We see the same thing happening in cricket. Well, T20 has become more popular now than Test cricket. You understand? There's a problem in the Caribbean. But show me a T20 batsman that could be more exciting than that Brian Lara or Vivian Richards. You understand? So the problem is not the art form itself or the sport itself. The problem is people's mind, and the people who influence people's mind, like radio people, people in the media and stuff, and people of capital and stuff, because they are the cyber soca monarch, but they won't have a cyber calypso, which is even better. And it's even better for a cyber show because you sit down in your home and you're listening.
That's true.
Whereas the soca is a jump up thing, and you have to participate, you enjoy soca, you be there and participate. You understand? But the people who have capital and who have power and who control, people's mind, and so they are the ones that are responsible for calypso where it is.
Right, good point. Thank you so much, Mr. McQuilkin. Another person comments saying, "Who is to be blamed for the young people not knowing much about calypso?" Hector going in there, boy.
Exactly.
Good question. We won't like it.
Exactly.
Now we have one more quick point, a point that actually we're gonna go to what Rootsman said on this point in terms of developing calypso for the young ones, and then a very controversial topic by Papa Jerry. So let's rewind this clip right here.
It's so important for us to nurture the youths from a very young age, and I would like to compliment the teachers credit union because they have this program, the Pass the Torch Calypso program. And I would also like to compliment people like Teacher Eddie and Teacher Nikki, and who run the Pioneers tent for a number of years. So I would like to encourage, whether it be government or non-governmental organizations, to start discovering the artists at a very
pump money into
age,
calypso.
Right. And let's see what we could do to bring the youths up from there.
All right, so you heard it from Rootsman Kelly. Now let's move on to Papa Jerry because he has something very interesting to say with regards to the pandemic. So that could be our last topic of discussion here this afternoon.
Some of us, myself, Rootsman, and many others, who live solely by singing calypso. And you're asking us now to improvise and go do something else. I think it's very unfair when every other sector, the barber, the busman, everybody got some type of compensation for this, but we got nothing. So I'm asking, who is the voice of the Calypsoans?
Big question right there. Who is the voice of the Calypsonian? Randy, Isaac, what are your thoughts on this one?
This is a big one. as we look at it, the calypso, there is no voice for the calypsonian. There is nobody speaking on behalf of the calypsonian right now. Of the calypsonian, nobody on behalf of calypso. It's only the calypsonians who are appealing to the people that are supposed to be in charge to do something that's saying something about calypso. Right? Everybody decide, okay, we leaving it on the back burner. You know, I mean, sometimes when the topic come up, some people will try to have a very short discussion about it and try to just pass it off on the side. And one thing I want to say before we go, like soca is like a bad child. Remember, soca is the son of calypso, and soca came in, and soca trying to push calypso out of his house. And what they say, honor thy mother and thy father, that thy days would belong, right? Soca have to be very careful. Because Calypso, don't matter, look the struggles that Calypso is going through. And we're still there. There are people like me and many other artists. We still look at this topic today. Look at how everybody responded. Look at what everybody is saying. We're still on board with Calypso. But if Soca have to go through something like that, I don't think they could withstand. So they have to be very careful. Calypso is the foundation of the whole art form, and we need to pay more attention to it. We need to uplift it. We need to promote it. We need to, as I heard Papa Jerry say, pump money into it, like how we would pump money into Calypso. Take, for example, the pandemic is going on, right? And they had a big show the other day. Very impressive show. I enjoyed the show to the fullest. The virtual Soca Monarch. What did they do for Calypso? Why they couldn't have a virtual Dimash? You understand where I'm going with this? The show that went on Friday, it was very impressive. It was good. It was enjoyable. It was entertaining. It was good. Why you couldn't have the same thing for Calypso?
Right.
I want to tip my hat off to Judah for with all what was going on to still put something together so people could be entertained and to give them a little hope in life that we will get over this and we will be back again. But at the same time, somebody should have come forth and say, okay, let us do something like that with Calypso also. And it's not too late.
Yeah.
It's not too late.
Yeah. I think it may also be a dollars and cents game that a lot of sponsors and other people are thinking about. Like, for instance, if I think about just Upstage, this show, we see that we have way more people tuning into the soca shows than the calypso shows. It could be also the platform. There could be other reasons for that, but generally there's so much more interest in soca. I think possibly sponsors would, they try to put their money where it makes the most, they get the most bang for their buck type of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe it could be that as well. I'm not sure. So Hector Thomas is saying it's a business. A promoter will only invest where he thinks he will make it back. But you did say earlier about the big shows that happen for Calypso, and they do well, as they're always sold out. But in terms of supporting entertainers during a pandemic, Blaze, Jefferson, what are your thoughts? Do you think that there should be some stimulus for entertainers? Is it a situation that entertainers need to find other solid ways of making income? What are your thoughts on that one?
I personally feel there should be a stimulus for entertainers. Because, I mean, if you value your entertainer, and this is our daily, this is how we take care of our family, and everybody else is getting a stimulus, why not the entertainer also?
Especially the entertainers who do their craft for their living. Take, for example, I know some of the steel bands, and I heard they asked a question about Calypso, but the same thing goes for steel band, the drummers, and everybody else, the singers like Jefferson and so. Because some of us play 4 or 5 times a night in the hotels. The same hotel workers, they are giving us stimulus package and nothing for the entertainers. So the hotel workers, the one who work in the room and so, they get a package. But we who provide entertainment for the guests, we don't really exist. But two things I want to touch on quickly. I know where the question is. I heard Randy say about soca, and Randy, don't blame soca. We have to blame the powers that be for not making
Powers
it
that be.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I maintain we have to treat culture as a business. Culture creates job, it creates opportunity for the country and for the people in the country. We have to treat culture like a business. We have to make sure that we teach the art form in school. That have to be a part of the government's program. The Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Culture, somehow they have to collaborate to make sure that the culture, job, everything is being taught in the school. Secondly, government has to put their money where their mouth is. You are the keeper of the funds. You have to make sure you fund the art. You have to make sure you fund the art. Make sure that you equip people with the tools. You're talking about Imani and you're employing so much and so Imani. What about the hundreds of panists and the hundreds of Calypsonian and the hundreds of Soca and the mass players? Let's make sure we equip these people with the necessary skill, the necessary technical assistance, and so that they can maintain themselves and therefore be begging government for nothing later on. So you, the keeper of the funds, make sure you look after or make sure you give people the proper tools so that they can become less dependent on the state for anything.
Well said. Jefferson, anything you wish to add on this before we wrap up?
I think a lot can be done in terms of the music and the music industry in Grenada. In terms of funding, in terms of pushing, especially the Calypso and pushing the culture. I get it. And I think, though, that, again, as I said before, it's going to take a little while. Somebody said in the comments that, we were never allowed to be a part of certain things in terms of, like, being a kid. So some people never pass on the Calypso thing to us. We never got it like that. What we got was, hold on to the big truck, mama, in my case, and Mr. Killer and who else? I know Randy Isaac. I know Black Wizard, and I think it's because of my involvement in pan, because we play real songs. So I know that. But what I heard on the radio was once in the week and twice on a Sunday. We know Japs. That's like in the crossover period. We know what else we know. Just after Killer, Lava Man, General PP, that's what we know. So like we don't know Calypso, or my generation don't know Calypso, and I go to school and I never really know about Calypso competitions or anything like that. I never knew what a Calypso tent was up until Cheros had a Calypso tent. I never been to a Calypso tent in my life. So part of it has to do with the powers that be. Part of it has to do with community. We actually lost a sense of community because our tent was in a community, from what I understand. So if a tent is in a community and is a lime, it becomes a lime. Kids go in, this one go in, everybody go in, then the love will come. People going to start to, push energy and push time in it, and then it forces artists to bring tunes. And because you can't go in a tent soft, you can't go in a tent singing stupidness. So it doesn't change the art form, but a lot has to do with what we decide to do. So it's dead now. Let's say it's dying or it's a downward slope. What are we doing? Because I can't go down in the government pocket and be like, yo, we taking that and give Calypso. If we could, probably we would. But what can we do to uplift the thing, make it bigger? And to me, it starts by getting it played on the radio, getting it in people's houses, getting it in kids' ears. I mean, I did a jingle for Grenadian General Insurance Company that was Calypso based, and this was a hit. Like, people didn't know what it was about, but they loved the music because why? It's in the house, it's in the radio, it plays it plays every 10 minutes or 20 minutes. That's what you need in order to get people to like stuff. So apart from the powers that be not really spending the money, and if we know how we are, that probably won't happen anytime soon, like tomorrow or the next year or in the next 2 years. But once we start giving it the sense of community that it needs, I think, and it deserves, because Black Wizard said you learned so much from it. So if we get that sense of community, and then if people decide to write stuff that still falls well within the art form, and we can get a man to play it on the radio, spend some money behind that, get a man to play it on the radio, and it just goes. It's in people's ears every 20 minutes. It's on every radio station. So
Yeah.
I think part of it has to do with the powers that be, that probably we not really have a music industry that's taken seriously here. And I think part of it has to do with us.
Good, well said. And we have Black Wizard also. Anything you want to add in relation to stimulus package for entertainers and musicians and so forth?
Well, in principle, I believe that we should have been considered, but let me also say that I believe we are our own worst enemies, because we should have been in a position today to help other people, to help the vulnerable, because we should have been the richest organization in Grenada, because the Soca Monarch belonged to the Calypso Association, Calypso. The Groovy Monarch belonged also to the Calypso. So we should have been $1 million organization, multi-million-dollar organization. But because Calypsonians don't understand the importance of unity, because they were bought out, some of them are bought out by the same government they want to give them stimulus package now. They buy them out, so that's the reason why Calypsonians should be discounted in Grenada, because we own those shows. Without those shows, there's no carnival. People come now with all kind of fete and stuff. We should have been doing all that. We should have our own equipment to enter to the carnival committee or whoever. So, but we couldn't see beyond our nose, so that's why we're suffering today.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That's definitely good points to add. Gentlemen, thank you all for an amazing conversation around Calypso and Steel Pan. I see the comments are going like crazy. We have Lil Natty in the comments. We have Inspector in the comments. Lil Natty is actually saying Calypso needs more marketing. You know what I mean? And I completely agree with that. The best way to get more people into something is to blast it in front of their minds, in front of their eyes and their ears. So, and Inspector is also saying Trinidad has the same problem with the Calypso show. So there's a lot to do, and I think it's great conversation, and we're really hoping the powers that be can really get some things done. But what I like is that we're doing things within what we can do. We're having Calypso on Upstage. We're having all these involvements on Upstage because I grew up in culture. Black Wizard used to be working with my father in the Ministry of Culture, and I was running around like a little child. But it meant that I went to the Mardi Gras, and I was in Pan, and I was so involved. And I'm doing what I can. I know you gentlemen are all doing what you can. And maybe also, if you're listening, you're watching this, you can do what you can as well to support entertainment in Grenada, to support the culture, and really understand the importance of culture in a society. Yeah. Thank you so much. Any parting words, Blaze? Anything you wanted to say before we head out?
Yeah, well, I can't come on a program and talk Pan and not mention Peck, and Peck is going to be buried next Thursday. We're going to try to do something big for him, and just always grateful for his contribution to Steel Pan and to the overall culture of Grenada, so always enough love and enough respect to the master.
Indeed, indeed. May he rest in peace.
Yep.
Indeed. Thank you so much, y'all. Have a great one. And of course, we'll see you all soon. Thank you to Black Wizard. Jefferson Ramirez, tell us about your song coming out soon.
I've been writing a whole lot now. Decided to take a soulful approach on this first project. So soon I have stuff ready. So I'm just working on release and art and all of that kind of stuff now. So soon. I've been promising a while, but I have I co-wrote a song with some friends in Nashville, and it's out now. This guy called Ollie Gabriel, he won Songland competition in the States last year. I don't know if you know what Songland is, but it's this thing where celebrity judges and you write songs and they actually critique your songs or take them on as their own, and he won that. So he heard the song that we wrote and he took it and it's released now, so you can go check it out. It's called Come Together. I'm not a singer, I'm just a co-writer, but my music is coming out soon too. So yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And of course, Blaze and Randy Isaac, Black Wizard, thank you all so very much. We have one more episode of Upstage to go. It's going to be a lovely finale. We're going to have an after party as well. So you can go to gotofed.com to get a ticket. As you know, we have to party within the regulations and within the numbers. So you may want to get onto that very soon. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Upstage TV Show. We'll see you on the next episode.